What advice would you guys have for a young person trying to become financially great?
Be careful who your teachers are. I think a lot of times as a young man, if I would have paid attention to, is the person I'm taking this advice from financially successful? And most of the people are not. So, I'm talking about commissioned salespeople, whoever they are, or people hustling for something. I got caught in all kinds of bad things, and I did it because if I would have paid attention to who they were, then I would have made way better choices.
I'm an old guy, really old. In 74, I was getting out of the Marine Corps. I had 2 tours in Vietnam. As a pilot, so first thing my poor dad says to me, "Oh, you're a pilot." He didn't care where I was, because he was anti-war anyway, but poor dad lived Civil War. He says, "Why don't you get a job with the airlines?" Okay, I don't think so. I'm going to become an entrepreneur. So go to my rich dad, and the question is, I want to be an entrepreneur. What do I have to learn? He says, what makes you rich is skills. What can you do? They said the number one skill of an entrepreneur is can you sell. Number 2, can you raise money? So today, I'm raising money, he's raising money. My goal as a young man, I'm a capitalist. I don't buy stocks. I don't buy bonds. And as a capitalist, I sell stocks. So my goal was to take 3 companies public via an IPO, initial public offering. So my first public offering was on the Toronto Stock Exchange. It was a gold mine in China. That's what capitalists did. My second goal was to take the company public on the New York Stock Exchange. Kenny and I were there. We rang the bell of the New York Stock Exchange. That's what capitalists did. My third goal is to get the company public on the Nasdaq. I'm going to do that this summer. And what makes me a good capitalist is going to be a Green New Deal.
Yeah, I think a lot of times we say, if you want to be a good golfer, you actually have to play golf. You can't just read a book or watch a YouTube video. And I think this is probably the biggest lesson. And most people go to school and they get taught something, but they haven't done it. And so, we have young people come into our company and they have a degree and they've been told that they're important, but they're really not because they haven't done anything yet. And so this is mostly about experience. How do you take a company public? How do you IPO a company? You will learn a lot. And it's not in a textbook and it's not in a YouTube video. And so you have to actually do the real thing to learn. It's like anything in life. You actually physically have to do it. And that's where experience and wisdom come from.
We're on this flight right now. We're going to a conference with our leader, George Gamma. We're going to listen to very, very, very smart capitalists. And that's what we do. That's what we spend our time. We're not out there potty. I don't have any plans of beating Tiger Woods. I want to get average. That's what I want to do. So that's why we study our friends, what we talk about, what we read. We're discussing this magazine this morning. And I'll show it to you. We don't just read it. You discuss it. We're talking about the economy crashing and all that.
Yeah. So we all read this paragraph and then we just talk about it.
And this is the book we're talking about. It's a friend of mine, Philip Hassel. When Money Destroys Nations. I just came back from South Africa. Zimbabwe went down because they printed too much money. South Africa's going down because they print too much money. Today, the United States is going down because we're printing too much money. In the last 90 days, it's got divided. And Treasury Secretary Yellen, and who's the Fed guy, they printed $1 trillion in 90 days. Did it fix the problem? No. They have to print another $1 trillion in another 90 days. So that's why we study. And this is another smart guy. Jeff Good's The Price of Tomorrow. And like I say, you study. We don't just read. This guy's freaking genius. Young guy too. That's a good point. You go to conferences to meet.
Yes. That's why we created Limitless.
Yeah.
Limitless is 2,000 people getting together. They're all very confused, just like us. Like, is Bitcoin the way to go? Is energy the way to go? Is real estate the way to go? Is crypto the way to go? Is oil and gas or gold and silver? You know, those are all individual topics that there's really smart people that are coming to these conferences, and you have to go listen to them, and you got to have an open mind, because most people are super biased, and an old guy with old thoughts,
Oh, God.
right? That's not who we are.
There's nothing worse than an old guy with ancient ideas. I'll give you an example. I was just in South Africa yesterday, and I asked this guy, I said, he said, old guy, not big guys, that's not only 45. I said, what do you think about bonds? And he's a professional trader. He says bonds are 100% safe. That is an old, stupid idea.
Yeah.
When that bond market comes down, then the stock market's going to melt down. And the reason we know the bond market's coming down is the most highly rated bonds on AAA tranches in commercial real estate in office buildings.
Yeah.
And what's happening with office buildings?
Oh, they're going down hard because of work from home. They're largely vacant, and the dynamics of whether people want to go to an office are completely changing. So people that own office buildings are in big trouble.
So when that goes down, the bonds that this old guy says are safe, because that's what they told him in financial planning suit.
You got to pay attention to the words, because he's saying with such conviction, you should be careful, because even real estate is not safe at all. I mean, it goes up, it goes down, just like everything. And so when somebody says real estate is the only way to get rich, you should be careful.
With what? Or real estate is safe, real estate always goes up.
Not true. Not true. Well, I saw this firsthand.
You saw it?
With my kids. Yeah, so when my kids got sent home during the pandemic, they were with me at the house. And so what happened is all the teachers, they were in university at the time, were trying to Zoom their class to my kids. And the kids said it was just a joke. And they were basically on their phones and texted with each other during tests and all this other stuff. They didn't know how to do it. And so the school teacher is in big trouble right now.
What advice would you give yourself if you were 20, 30 years old today in today's environment?
The word is assume. Watch what you assume. Assume says, as you make of you and me. As you make of you and me. I'll give you one more example. 34% of all American jobs are driving jobs. So these guys who are into Uber and Lyft and all that stuff. In Phoenix, for years I've been watching this thing called Waymo. And so my friend said, I think I'll take a Waymo car. So he climbed in it. It doesn't rain in Phoenix, but today it rained for you. He drive along. Waymo doesn't even have windshield wipers on. And they're driving around town, you know. And so I bet this one guy said, what are you going to do your spare time? So I'm going to become an Uber driver. AI is the thing I'm watching, because AI is artificial intelligence. It's going to put millions on work. That's my prediction. I hope I'm wrong. I would get a job that requires brains and physics.
Yeah,
Like
skills.
Skills. You got something to work with your hands.
Yeah.
Like if you can fix a car or something like that, or fix a computer, very good. Then you build a house, good. But it takes brains and foot. But these guys who are the A students, they're going to be hanging on a cross for A student. Well,
If your skill is driving a car, you go from taxi to Uber to Waymo, you're in trouble.
and so the question then is, what's the U.S. government or the world government going to do when you have millions and millions of people unemployed? I think they're going to print more money. And when they print more money, low, sober Bitcoin going.
All hard assets.
Yeah.
Yeah, not the paper, not ETFs, not paper money. This is, you could print dollars. BTFs is actually paper gold. So you don't want that. You want physical gold. Conferences. Yeah, you got to network. You got to get out there. That's why staying at home, video games, Zoom, that stuff's going to kill the culture. You got to get out.
and your friends.
Yeah, friends, books you read, conferences you go to, and you just have to go somewhere and do something. You have to create momentum.
And keep an open mind and be willing to have somebody tell you your idea is full of shit. And then talk about it. There's nothing wrong with it. Right?
And that's a gift. If you find somebody that actually could talk to you that way, that's a gift. You should be listening to them. Even if you don't believe them, you should be listening to those people. Because people don't really criticize opinions anymore. They have an opinion, but oftentimes people with opinions don't want the criticism back. They don't want to be challenged. I'm always looking on, what am I missing? Always.
Like when I met Kenny, this was way back around 27 years ago. I wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I'm in real estate on it. I made my money on the real estate business. And everybody was saying, oh, you flip houses. You know, flip a house. I don't flip houses. I got to so many arguments. I don't flip houses. Number one reason, if they were tax, you need flip. I don't want to pay tattoos. So I met Kenny, and Kenny says, I'm in real estate. He says, I don't flip houses. I said, you flip houses? He said, no.
No, cash flow.
Cash flow.
I mean,
Yep. We've been friends ever since, and we use debt to buy property. Cash flow. Yes, ain't no tax.
it's not a complicated model. It's just do you have a cash flow philosophy or do you have a capital gain philosophy? Most of the people, even today, have a capital gain philosophy. They want to buy low, sell high. Well, they don't actually know if they're buying low. There's a lot of people that just bought the last 2 years, bought high, and now they have to sell low. So they're in big financial trouble. You don't like the office buildings, a lot of multifamily syndicators right now are in big trouble. So over the last 35 years, I bought over 15,000 apartments. I made the most in-depth real estate video that you will ever watch on everything that you need to know to get started, to get to where I am today. You can watch that video here.